How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another...
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Yes, this is Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Have you checked your video number?
Yes, I did check how many videos, and this is actually the 350th video I've done. Wow, where's the time guy? I never thought that I would get this high. Anyways, we're doing something that is not an unusual concept today, but was an unusual concept back in the Golden Age.
Another one you stumbled upon?
Yes, it's another hero that I kind of stumbled upon.
I'm starting to think that's how you discovered everyone that you review.
Well, considering that this is Lost Heroes of the Golden Age, it kind of makes sense that I would be stumbling upon characters instead of knowing who they are. I mean, I wasn't exactly alive in the 40s.
You are old, though.
Not that old. Anyways, the concept that we are doing in this one was an unusual concept for the Golden Age. It was a villain turned hero, but now I know there was a couple of villains that became heroes, but that was usually a part of their origin story. This was a character that premiered in the comics as a villain, engaged the hero, and would start coming back as a villain, but would eventually become a hero. Now, nowadays, if you're watching anime, that's like common, where the antagonist becomes one of the protagonists. But back in the Golden Age, the concept like that wasn't done. You either start off a hero, or you end up partnering with the hero. But being a villain, becoming a hero, and not only do you team up with the hero that you were fighting, you end up getting your own self-titled story. It just was something that wasn't done back then. So it was interesting to see this happen, where he started off as a villain. I don't think he actually killed anybody, but he had an association of being with people who did kill, which I thought that would have made his redemption a little more unrealistic, but I mean, his turnaround was real quick. But this is an interesting enough character that I wanted to go over. He's coming out of the MLJ comics. And MLJs, they didn't do things in the normal way. They kind of experimented more than other comic books would do, where they would be playing it safe with a certain way of doing things. MLJ said, hey, let's try this, and they had a lot of popular characters because they did something that was different. And this was definitely something that I hadn't seen in other comic books. It's something I can see today, but not back then. So let's go ahead and review Inferno on this Lost Heroes of the Golden Age. Inferno, real name unknown, first appeared in Zip Comics number 10, 1941. The original publisher is MLJ. He's created by Joe Blair and Paul Riemann. I believe that would be pronounced Riemann. Now, Inferno is in fact a villain turned hero. Now, that concept is not completely unusual for a hero to, or villain to turn it into the hero. The way that they did it with Inferno was something I hadn't seen done before. Not only does he start off as a villain and is part of a crime spree, he even engages the hero at one point, does not get caught initially, and then is starting off as a criminal in the next issue. That was an unusual concept that I wasn't used to, because villains, or turning over a new leaf, would usually be part of the origin story. But the fact that he engages the hero and still is a criminal, that was the unusual part. I was like, this guy's a straight up crook. He teams up with a couple of other guys, and I know they're robbing banks and they're trying to black out the city. Now, whether or not they actually killed people, that was left a little ambiguous. I don't think Inferno was involved in any of the deaths. That would make his redemption a little hard to believe if he did, but he was associated with those who did do it. Now, his turning over a new leaf was kind of weird. See, he exits his first issue and starts his next appearance as the villain in the Sterling Steel comics, and Sterling Steel goes undercover to get close to Inferno because he wants to bring him in. And Inferno, in fact, saves Sterling Steel from getting injected by a guy dressed like a reptile, takes the venom, and then he's just like, well, this guy decided to take the venom for me. He must not be that bad. Wow, I mean, this guy is he's a crook. He fought you. He's may have actually been involved in a murder, but he's not that bad of a guy. But then later, when he takes him to a doctor that revives him, he's just like, hey, I can't believe that you did this for me. I'd like to be a good guy now and fight with you instead of against you. And for the next couple of issues, Inferno helps out Sterling Steel. And in fact, the last issue that he appears on these pages with Sterling Steel, he's helped to break up a prison break. Now, after he appears in, I think it was 4 issues of Zip Comics, he would go on to get his own title in the Blue Ribbon comic, starting with number 13 and then going until number 19. Now, what I thought was really interesting was the way that he gets introduced in Blue Ribbon number 1. Now, it also has to involve a jailbreak, but this is a jailbreak with a twist where they're going after the judge that convicted them all and get them thrown in jail. Now, Inferno, trying to turn over a new leaf and be a model prisoner so he can get out and fight on the side of justice like he told Sterling Steel he would, he does break out to save the judge's life. Now, the judge actually tells him, look, if you go back and turn yourself in, they're going to shoot you. You have a shoot-on-sight order. So you need to stay out of the public, or you need to stay out of their eye right now. So he creates his costume, which, upon seeing this costume, I think this is where Ajax and Farwell got their idea for their character, the Flame, because it's almost a spot-on copy, except for some color changes in a cape. Now, the opening in a Blue Ribbon number 13 was actually really interesting. They show clips from the Zip comic pages where he was a crook and then he turns into a hero. So there are some clips from the other comic that they use for the part of this origin story, which is really unusual. I thought when they introduced them in, they would actually create some new panels that were representations of what happened, but they actually took actual panels out of Zip Comics for the origin, which is pretty awesome. For, I guess, a recap for those who don't know, or it might have been a way of promoting Zip Comics in a way with, well, I mean, they did that all the time. In the ending of stories, they'd be like, hey, see Shield and Rusty, or see the Wizard. But in the first couple of issues in Blue Ribbons, he finds himself helping out G-Men. And then in the third issue that he has in Blue Ribbon Comics, he teams up with an undercover female blonde operative that he feels that he needs to be on the lookout for until the final appearance in number 19, Virginia Ames. And she is a secret agent, and the next couple issues, except for one, would involve either protecting her or helping her with her cases, because she's a special agent. Now, I don't know why, in the very last issue, number 19, they change her to a redhead, which I am actually not against. I mean, I like the red-haired, well, yeah, I like the red-haired girls from the Golden Age. They're not as common, unless you're reading Jungle Girl comics, as the blondes. The blondes are everywhere. So when you can get something that's outside of the blonde set, I definitely approve of that. And it's interesting, at the very end of his last appearance in number 19, she's suggesting that to a judge that he should get a pardon for all the good that he's doing. And the judge is like, well, I agree. In fact, the mayor was already setting up a pardon for you before this current case where he saves her life from drowning in the water as part of a diver got killed and it turned into a salvage operation. But they were already preparing a pardon for him for all the good that he has done. Now, I think it's an interesting costume. Now, as for powers, doesn't have any strength or speed. He can fight, but of course, what hero in the Golden Age didn't have pugilistic skills? I mean, they all did. They all knew how to fight somehow. And he did have the fire breath, which was unexplained. He just kind of had it. Now, I think that he could use it in various degrees. He actually used his fire breath against living individuals, but I don't think that he had the intention of killing him. I think he actually went out of his way to not kill people, because he was trying to be on the side of justice, bringing in criminals. And they shot a gun at him once, and he was able to melt the bullet fired at him the same way as when we covered the MLJ character Fireball. And I still have my same issue with this. If you melt the bullet in the air, then you have molten lead coming at you. You're not melting that. Anyways, he used his fire against many different types of other things that would result in, putting the case more into his way. So, I mean, there's not too much to go into him. He appeared in the Zip comics under another hero, and I guess he was popular enough to get his own comic, because in his, first appearance in number 13, or his first self-titled in number 13, starts off saying, by popular request, the man who once aided Sterling Steele now appears in a story of his own. Start now the thrilling adventures of Inferno, the Flame Breather. And then we would get a recap of, looks like at least 2 different stories. Yeah, they start off with him being betrayed, going after the reptiles, teaming up with Sterling, defeating the reptile, and then getting arrested, which happened in 2 different issues. So, I mean, that's Inferno. No alt-right superpowers to speak of, and the ability to breathe fire was never stated. But the fact that this is the way he was introduced, and the fact that he would get his own self-titled comic was unusual, and he was popular enough. He never took the cover, because when we covered Blue Ribbon, we know that Mr. Justice and the Flag were taking the cover at the time, but he was mentioned on a couple of cover issues. So, I mean, it was popular enough that they didn't ever let him take the cover, but saying, hey, Inferno is in this. I mean, he was popularly requested, which is what got him this comic, which was also an unusual thing. I think they were planning on having him stop in Sterling Steele, but they would give him his own self-titled comic, which I don't think I've seen something like that before. So that makes it interesting enough that I wanted to review him. So we'll go over the first appearance, and you can see how he started to how vastly different he became, starting off as a criminal and then becoming a well-respected superhero. All right, before I get started with this review, I've never really reviewed anything with Sterling Steele before, so I don't know a whole lot about him except for the fact that he's impervious. So some of the other powers that are going to come up, I really don't know. I need to review Sterling Steele one of these days so that this issue makes a whole lot more sense. Okay, let's get into this. Steel Sterling, Man of Steel. In one breathless moment, John Sterling wagered the faint hope of possessing a body of human steel against mutilation and death. He emerged from his bath of molten metal as Steel Sterling, enemy of the underworld, a man immune to all known implements of death. Now posing as his own twin brother John, he operates a detective agency. The murder of John Steel Sterling? Question mark. And I mean, he looks way too happy to be jumping into a vat of holding steel right there. Anyway, so we start off at this circus tent. Hey, Twisto, what are you doing here? Thought you was in the jug. I think that's supposed to be jail. In the dark of night, a fugitive figure skulks among the tents at the circus ground. Twisto, the rubber man. So he goes ahead and he kills the guy who recognized him. So he's definitely a murderer. Shh, Inferno, don't say nothing. The guy who's leaning back, breathing fire. Leaving his victim, Twisto enters the tent of Inferno, the flame breather. The flame breather. Okay. So they start talking about what they're going to do. So you got out, huh? Oh, you bet idea. No jail can hold me. If we get Hefta to join us, the three of us can run this town. But first, we need to get rid of John Sterling. So they are working on their plan, and they go get Hefto, because he is going to be the muscle. So, you want us all to get killed, maybe, trying to get John Sterling? No, sir. Remember the time by the waterfront in Frisco? You got mad and strangled a guy with your bare hands. Well, alright, so he's got dirt on him, so he decides to help out. And as, let's see, who's this guy? At the same moment, Al Ben Lunar, alias Looney, who sees all and knows nothing, he sees all and knows nothing, leaves his tent. And, like I said, I don't know anything about Steel Sterling, so I don't know who this guy is supposed to be, but he overhears the three of them talking, and decides to, wow, a plot twist against my new boss. Ah, Looney, where have you been keeping yourself? So, I don't know why in the middle of the story they have one of these prize things. Red Ryder Carbine. For those who've seen the Christmas Story, careful, you'll shoot your eye out. Anyways, back to what we're doing. So, why is the hat leaping off of your head? So he tells them the whole story about how they want to kill John Sterling. So, they want to kill me. Well, maybe it'll be a good idea to help them, I wonder. I thought you couldn't die. I thought that was your powers. So while he's running around, he stumbles into Miss Cummings. Miss Cummings, oh gosh. I'm on my way to round up Twisto and his dangerous gang of criminals. How about getting old Clancy just to make the arrests? Well, as far as I know, Steel is a private eye, and you're working for a private eye. You don't have the power to arrest them. So, yeah, maybe you should go get Clancy. Now, they do a couple of stereotypical... I don't like the way they represent an Italian and a black person both in the story, but here we go. So, you gotta defy the senza Clancy. Look, Blanky. I'm a sergeant now. I will protect you, don't I? Asta no got give him to me the nickel. I think that's supposed to represent Italian, but Jesus Christ, people. I mean, not all of them speak broken English like that. So, while he's on the corner, obviously arguing with this fruit vendor who speaks broken English, he tells him about the killers at the circus, and he says, leads the way. I love the way they run off. Their arms strike at the sides and legs up, and yeah, that's really a funny way that they ran off. Pasta fazul, my 5 cents, asta too much. Don't worry, Blackie, they'll be right back. That's crazy John Sterling has Looney out in the world... has Looney out on a wild goose chase. No, that's not a wild goose chase. They actually want to kill John. Okay, so he sets up the situation so that he makes himself an easy target, and as he's leaving for the night, good night. Is that... I can't even pronounce this game. Atatrice. Don't play with any loaded dice. No siree. Well, good night, boss. Yeah, oh my god. I mean, look at him. That's not the... Sign of the times, man. It just because it was a sign of the times doesn't mean that it was alright. Alright, so he steps out and he lets himself get crushed by a moving truck. Hello, there's an awful accident. Send down them ambulance. Send them doctors. Send everybody. Wow. How horrible. Yeah, the way you're representing the black guy, yeah, that was horrible. Anyways, they go over and they check out John Sterling, and they say that he is in fact dead. And then Miss Cummings notices the accident, and she comes on the scene and she confirms, John, oh no. And then, wow, they put this out in the paper rather quick. Wextray, read all about it. Steel Sterling's brother murdered by gangsters. Wextray. I just can't sometimes. It's supposed to be extra, but yeah. And then right over here, when you see him shouting outside the window, he says, extra, read all about it. Why did you have him saying Wextray when in the very next panel you have him saying extra? You hear that, Twisto? I do. And what's more, we're going to his funeral. And it's like, we can't go there. And he's like, I can. I'm the rubber man. I can change my appearance. So they go and they watch him getting buried. Oh, they're already putting the guy in the ground. We're too late. He was one of my best friends, sob. Gosh, it was all my fault, sob. I can't bear it. And why wasn't his brother Steele here? Sob, sniff. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I know it's him faking his death, but I mean, couldn't he have put like a dummy or like someone that just like looked like him so he could at least appear at the grave? But is Sterling really dead? Or does this man of steel have some hidden motive? I think I've waited here long enough. Now to shove a few tons of dirt out of the way. A few tons of dirt. Like nothing. I mean, a ton of dirt weighs 2,000 pounds, and you said a few tons. Okay, so he breaks out like there's no problem. Now down to business. And away zooms the man of steel. So he goes back to his detective office, and he goes over to the safe. Ah, so far so good. The dummy is just as I left it. Back to the cemetery races Steel Sterling. In case anybody doubts John Sterling is dead, here he is. So, John Sterling is dead. And right now, the unholy three are having a good laugh. But we'll see who has the last laugh. Okay, now, yes, I know, I have read the story, so I know he was getting a dummy. The main thing that I want to know is why didn't he just let the dummy... Why didn't they just put the dummy into the grave to begin with? Yeah, I know. He's the only one who knows this, but if he can fly and move at super speeds, he could have substituted this dummy at any time for himself. I mean, after they examine the body, they're not going to examine the body again. So, like, when he's left in the morgue, I'm assuming overnight, because they said they buried him the next day, he could have broken out, got the dummy, put the dummy on the slab in the morgue, and then shown up to his own funeral. They're not going to examine the body again. They already had. So, I mean, he didn't have to wait until he was dead, until he was buried, to break out and put the dummy in place. He could have done this at any time before that part, and then shown up, so he didn't look like an insensitive ass for not showing up at his brother's funeral, which I know he's posing as his own brother. But you saw how his girlfriend, I'm assuming girlfriend, took it when he didn't show up. So, I mean, okay. So we cut back to the three criminals. What a combination. We'll be the three kings of crime. Yeah, you, Inferno, can melt locks off of doors. Hefto, you're a strong-arm guy, and I'm the brains. There ain't a place I can't get us into or out of. Now listen, we're going to pull a job that'll set this town on its ear. So we see them as they're doing their break-in, and right on the fence right there it says City Light and Power Company. It's nice to know that they're in the city of City. There's no other way to take that based on that sign. They're in the city of City. Okay, so stealthily, one by one, the guards are overcome. And they don't say that they outright kill the guards, but I mean, that first one is getting strangled. But I mean, this is why I have a hard time with him becoming a hero like that, because it's guilt by association. Danger, main dynamo, no attendance. This is our last barrier. Open it, Inferno. He melts the door like butter. Okay, so they come up to the main dynamo, and we go over to Dora Cummings' home. It all seems so unreal. John dead. I can't believe it. Oh, why didn't Steele show up to his own brother's funeral? Steele Sterling, where have you been? And then that's when he tells her that he is also John. But you're his brother? I know. But what you didn't know is that John and I were always the same man. I only disguised myself as John Sterling so that I could fight criminals without exposing myself. Yeah, nobody wants to see that. Anyways. She asks him how she was able to fool the examiner, and he said he used... I had to look this up because I never heard it. It's catalepsy. And catalepsy can produce a trance-like state where your vital organs are slowed down to the point where it can look like death. Which, I remember seeing some things where they would put these bells in a graveyard of newly deceased people, so if they weren't actually dead, they could try to ring the bell when they came out of the this fugue that they were in, where people thought they were dead. I didn't know it was called catalepsy, but it is actually a real thing. I had to look this up. I still don't know why you pretended you were dead. Because I found that I put too many of my friends in jeopardy. Everyone who knew John was in danger of getting killed. And that's one of the big things about why Spider-Man holds his secret so dear to him, because he doesn't want to put his loved ones in danger, which was also something I couldn't understand in DC Comics, why the new Blue Beetle would let people know who he is, because it does put the people that you know in danger. Alright, so he says that he's getting ready to go find the three: Hefto, the brains, Inferno, the fire guy, and Twisto. They're plotting some terrible crime. I'm going to stop them before they get started. At an instant, the city plunged into blackness. Yeah, obviously didn't do it fast enough. The city is in turmoil, the running riots. What's happening? All the lights are out. Now, in the second panel, I'm a little confused. I mean, I know this mother is cowering in terror, holding onto her children, but you see the two vehicles crashing over there, and I understand the city is pitch black. It makes it harder to see. I've driven down dirt roads and roads without any lights on them. They are very difficult, but headlights are a thing. This car may have in fact been parked while the other guy crashed, but headlights are a thing. You would have seen it. Turning off the dynamo to the city doesn't turn off lights in cars. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so as he heads towards the dynamo, we see him running across the sky. Like I said, I don't know his powers. I can't say much to how this looks. I mean, it may be common that he runs in the air. The trouble must be here at the powerhouse. Only a failure of the main dynamo could cause such a complete blackout. Dynamos don't fail by accident. Okay, maybe in 1940. I have a hunch I'll find the trouble right here. Okay, so he does find one of the guards, and he says the guard was in fact murdered. So, I mean, this is guilt by association. Did we all forget that? It seems like we're forgetting that Flexo, even though he was a model prisoner in jail, helped out Sterling Steele and stopped a couple of bank robberies. This is guilt by association. If he didn't outright murder the guy, he's part of the gang that did and didn't stop them. Alright, so looks as if the door was melted by an alkaline torch. Someone's in there. Okay. You know who Inferno is. You know what his powers are. You saying melt by an alkaline torch, you're blatant. It's... You know Inferno is there. You mentioned his name more than once. You know he melted that door open. You could have said, it looks like Inferno had a hand at this, not just an alkaline torch. You know it's them. Don't start acting ignorant. Twisto listens, someone's coming, and he knows where they are, and he basically presents himself. Now, Twisto and Inferno run in one direction, and Hefto runs in the other direction. He says, stick around, Hefto, I'll be with you in a few minutes. So he grabs the other two, and as he's holding them, Inferno unleashes look at that, it's a massive amount of fire right in Sterling's face. Now, as far as I know, Sterling is impervious, but firing into his eyes, that's got to do something. Nice work, Inferno. My eyes, I can't see the flame breather and the rubber man make their escape. Now, he's supposed to be impervious to harm as far as I understand, so that's why he's not saying ouch or my face is melting, but apparently it did have a momentary effect on his eyes. So a moment later, the Man of Steel charges after the killers. I can't let them get away. Gone. I can't hope to follow them in the darkness. Well, one of their playmates is still here. So he goes after Hefto, who tells him to stay away. So he goes onto the top platform to confront him. Don't jump, Hefto, you'll never make it. And it looks like he did jump. He plummets to his death. Plunging to his death, Hefto's body ironically throws the switch, illuminating the city once again. Yeah, in the history of things that would never happen, that would never happen the most. Why would the switch be so close to a platform that merely falling off of it was enough to engage the switch? And he's landing on the switch, throwing the switch down. And I don't know if you've ever watched like shows where they're switching on massive internal machinery. It's usually the switch up turns something on, the switch down turns something off. So him landing on a switch, throwing it down to turn the dynamo back on, doesn't make sense. Okay, you poor devil. You were only used. They were only using you for a stooge. You poor devil. For all you know, he was the one who murdered the guard. But Twisto and Inferno are still on the loose, so I've got to find them before it's too late. With two of the world's most dangerous killers at large, Sterling Steele faces his most spine-tingling adventure in the next issue of Zip Comics. It's a nice way to end it. Well, I hope you liked this video. I hope that you were intrigued by this character as me. I guess in the next video, we'll be starting with 351. We'll see how far we can take this channel to. If you have any requests, I always like doing them. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.